Thanks for staying with us on Report Desk Africa. Now, this year makes it 30 years since hundreds of thousands of Rwandans were slaughtered during 100 days of unspeakable violence, the 1994 genocide. Now, every year starting on the 7th of April, Rwanda solemnly remembers the genocide with a 100-day period known as Kwibuka, or Remember in Kinyarwanda. Now, it might never be known exactly how many people were killed, as mass graves are still being today. In January this year, for example, a site containing the remains of 119 people was discovered in the Huye District in southern Rwanda. Now, the strength the Rwandan people have shown in the face of their unimaginable losses is nothing less than extraordinary. And 30 years down the line, the country has continued to wax stronger in different aspects of the economy.
Now joining us to discuss this is the genocide survivor and director of the issues in Rwanda, Freddie Mutangua. Freddie, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me today.
All right. Now, just as Blessings was reading that script and telling us about how the memory of, the genocide, how it just comes back. Even for those of us who are not Rwandans, we can almost feel how it was. But for you, it's been 30 years since the genocide has happened. As a survivor, can you, summarily recount your experience, please, and tell us what it was like and how that particular occurrence 30 years ago has shaped your life up until where you are now?
Thank you very much. In 1994 genocide at Tutsi, I was 18 years old. And I lost my parents and my 4 sisters. This was really devastating situation for me and for my, of course, the fellow survivors in my country, the country that lost over 1 million Tutsi during genocide in only 100 days. This actually have shifted our lives. Actually, find yourself as an orphan, and you don't have your parents, you don't have your relatives that have been taking care of you, and you find yourself that you have to you live your life, and you live a life without anyone to take care of you. And this has been a case for many survivors in this country. I survived with my sister, who was 8, who was 15 years at that time. And since then, as many other orphans and many survivors in this country who have been wounded physically and mentally, had to go through the challenges of the genocide that took in this country 30 years ago.
That must have really been an unimaginable pain. I'm so sorry for what you went through. Well, we also see that Rwanda has somewhat risen from, the dark era into what we can call one of the enviable countries now across Africa. And in terms of enviable, I'm talking about less violence, surprisingly, and then some other economic things as well. Now, so many people have attributed this to a lot of different factors, but there are also speculations that Paul Kagame, who interestingly was also born Tutsi, is one of the major reasons why Rwanda has risen to what it is now. But some people would also say that some of his approaches towards liberating the country, for lack of better word to use, can be termed condemnable to international communities. What would you say about what would you say that we can attribute the rise of Rwanda to? And in terms of Paul Kagame's intervention in this case, how would you say that his reign and rule has helped the country back on its feet?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. First of all, I have to say that right after genocide, the country have been very much devastated by the event that happened in 1994, when genocide actually was perpetrated in only 3 months' time. The genocide didn't kill only 1 million of Tutsis in this country, but it destroyed also the economy of the country, the infrastructure, the schools, the hospitals. It was right after genocide, the country was empty of the professionals, lawyers, teachers, engineers, and other people. And this country been economy been on its knee. And it's a country that have been facing a lot of challenges, including exactly what I've been talking about. So this country required efforts and very deliberate choices that make its people to break the cycle of violence and go beyond their own feelings and make a choice of unity and make a choice of reconciliation and make choice of really coming back on our social fabric structures that's been actually demonstrated by the bond actually with Rwandans actually living together in very strong and very positive relationship. And this has been very much destroyed. And as you mentioned, it required also a leadership that been put in place by the current leadership of Rwanda. And then having also many readers in this country having themselves experienced the atrocities, experienced and have observed since their own childhood to what happened in this country, the injustice that have been inflicted to the Rwandan community, especially to Tutsis people. This has been a lesson to many of the Rwandan leaders, but at the same time, that's what happened. You were talking about 30 years of the genocide, after genocide. This is what we learned from the whole period of time that Rwanda has been going through the challenges of the genocide. It will be unfortunate to have a leader that take Rwandans go back to the where we came from. But we are lucky in this country having our president, His Excellency Paul Kagame, who made the right choice to make sure that the security of Rwandans, the security of the country, it's actually a prerequisite for economic development, and then giving a priority to the security of its citizens have been actually something that's becoming like a pillar of development and what Rwanda is today. So yeah, that's what I have to say, and it's very, very important that to say that Rwanda has its own challenges, but also a lot of opportunities to lift up again the country in terms of economy, in terms of social fabric, in terms of it's politically, and it's very, very important that Rwanda have managed to learn from the mistakes of the past to be able to build the Rwanda with a peaceful Rwanda, which has a future and a hope for the and also this point of time Rwanda is contributing a lot in taking the lessons of what we learned in this country. For example, having Rwanda being the second country contributing on peacekeeping forces around the world, it does demonstrate how Rwanda are very much committed to find solutions and being actually on the right path, as we lost our values and we lost our everything the time of genocide, but we cannot afford to lose again and go back where we came from in 1994.
Okay, Freddie, I totally agree with you, and Blessings did mention earlier that Rwanda is now one of the envied, should I put it that way, countries on the continent of Africa, rising from the ashes like a phoenix 30 years on, and now people are dreaming and wanting to come to Rwanda. My final question, just before we let you go very quickly, is in terms of orientation, right, what was said or what was done to the Rwandan people to ensure that something like this never happens again? I mean, we've seen different countries in and outside of Africa where there have been inter-ethnic clashes. In Nigeria, we've had our own fair share, unfortunately, of some of these things. And then you still have some tensions between several ethnic groups. But now in Rwanda, there is nothing like that anymore. There, apart from the the memories of what has happened, and the government trying to keep some of this history alive, people remembering and then holding these occasions every year. Children are born now without knowledge of what happened, just what they have been told and what they learn from history books and from history generally. But what was said to these communities to ensure that they understand they have to live as one? What was the orientation given to the people after the genocide that ensured that Rwanda grows to what it is today, living in such peace and harmony?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned before, it was a very strong and also fortunate to have a leadership that really made the right choice to help actually Rwandan and accompany Rwandans to make the choice to rebuild and also for the unity and the reconciliation, because this is a country that had a risk to go back and also to keep this cycle of violence going on. So the fact that Rwandan chose, especially the survivors, they chose to prevent any revenge, but also embrace the road of peace, the journey of reconciliation, and journey of forgiveness. That was the first factors that made this country as it is today. But at the same time, amazing that right after genocide, we had survivors and perpetrators coming back in the same village and live side by side. And you can imagine that the mistrust that was going on, and this because people were not sure that this is going to be a country again. So reestablishing of the truth of the trust between the survivors and perpetrators has been a journey, but has been a possible journey because the fact that before genocide, the impunity was a culture in this country. But the fact that after genocide, the accountability, but at the same time, the justice have been established. And this justice mainly basing and taking lesson from our own tradition, where the traditional community court system that have been established, Gacaca have been very restorative justice systems that really made possible the reconciliation, forgiveness, and the peace in this country. So the fact that have been very good programs that, but of course the generosity of survivors and to accept and also to embrace this process of reconciliation have been really a pillar for a peaceful country in this country. But at the same time, this is also supported by the leadership that have been completely really focusing on the security and that's been really a prerequisite for the social and economic development in this country.
Okay, Freddie, thank you so much. I would have loved to hear more so that other African countries watching would learn a thing or two from what Rwanda has been able to learn and what Rwanda has grown into. But that's the most we can take at this time. Thank you so much once again, Freddie. We wish Rwandans, the ability to continue to live in peace and harmony, just as we wish for the rest of Africa. Thank you once again for joining us on the show, Freddie. Now thank you
very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll be moving straight into, after this short break, very short break, we'll be moving straight into our forecast. And for those who are watching us for the first time or who are new to Report Desk Africa, the forecast section or segment basically is about what we will be looking into possibly in the coming week. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us all through the show, basically, because we're in the home stretch of the show. We go straight into Burkina Faso first, where the military government in Burkina Faso has dismissed 3 French diplomats, accusing them of subversive activities. Now, the diplomats, including 2 political advisors, were given just 48 hours to leave the country. This particular move now further puts strains between Burkina Faso and France's relationships since the military junta took power in 2022.
And now looking at East Africa, intense flooding wreaks havoc across the region, claiming lives and displacing thousands of people in Kenya and in Tanzania. The situation is critical across the region, with Kenya reporting at least 13 fatalities and 58 from Tanzania in the past 2 weeks alone. Now, authorities are urging residents in flood-prone areas to relocate as the rains persist.
And of course, our final story is one that's hitting home very hard. And well, if you're watching from behind the scene, you would see that or notice that this is also hitting us here. It's the deadly heat wave that is striking recently, or that has hit West Africa and parts of Sahel. Now, a number of countries in the Sahel region and across West Africa have been hit by a strong heat wave that struck since the end of March. If you ask me, I think it's been on before the end of March, as a matter of fact. Now, scientists say that the deadly heat wave in West Africa and in the Sahel region is caused by human-induced climate change. Researchers believe that the global climate change had a key role in this current heat wave. We definitely do hope that scientists who have figured out what caused this heat wave could help us figure out how we can get out of it, honestly.
Hopefully so.
It is really hot. I know it is hot.
But it's been a very beautiful episode right here on Report Desk Africa. Please stay with us. Maybe next week you see us, or you see another group of people. We don't know how consistent we'll be yet, but it's all to give you the best information right here on News Central Television. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Blessings Mosugu.
And as always, I'm Bernard Ake. Thank you for watching, and make it a date with us again, same time next week.